Hi, friends. Today we are going to be talking about the electoral process as well as political conventions. Our I can statement for today is I can identify the process of elections and their purpose. So, some key vocabulary that we are going to be focusing on today. The first one is primary election, and this is the first round election where political candidates are chosen or eliminated. And these are for more focusing on the specific Democratic or Republican Party. After those primary debates, they will have the primary election. And that is when maybe you have a few people wanting to run for president in either the Democratic or the Republican Party, but eventually there can only be one, and those primary elections help us get to that one person. The general election is the main election for a specific political office, and that is when on November 3rd, that is going to be our general election when we vote for president. A caucus is a political meeting where political candidates are chosen, and we'll kind of get more into that a little bit later. And Super Tuesday, that is the day when many U.S. states hold their primary election, and that is very important, and we will learn more about it. So, the primary election. This is kind of considered the vote before the vote. In most states, voters will take the polls to go cast their vote on which candidate they would like to become their official president candidate for their party in the general election. Some of these states hold a caucus instead, and this is kind of similar. This is a similar election event, but this is held by the political parties themselves. So either Libertarian, Democratic, Republican, they hold them rather than the state government themselves. And Iowa is one of those states that has a caucus rather than a general or not a primary election. So Iowa, yes, we are the first caucus. When we are having our presidential election, we are the first state to hold the caucus, but New Hampshire is a pretty close second. They just come right behind us. But even though we are small states, we are very mighty, and we have a lot of say. So New Hampshire will always hold their first primary election. As their law states, they must hold their primary election on the Tuesday, at least 7 days before any other states hold a primary election. And even though these two states are kind of smaller in size compared to like California or Texas, the results of their primary elections are very good predictors of a candidate's future success. So if you are a candidate and you do very well in either Iowa or New Hampshire right off the bat, it kind of sets the tone and sets the mood and the pace for the rest of your campaign, the rest of your election. So Super Tuesday is an important milestone in the primaries, and on this day, the most of the states hold their primaries or caucuses. Super Tuesday usually occurs in late February or March. So now we're going to kind of go into political conventions. Our I can statement for political conventions, I can identify the purpose of conventions. So some more vocabulary that we're going to be talking about. Delegates. This is someone who is given the authority to represent other people. Remember, if we were talking about our delegates from the Senate, each state has two representatives or two delegates from their state to talk about the needs and wants of each state. And then a platform is a set of primary goals, beliefs, or ideas. So at the convention, when they go to the convention, it is kind of like a big rally. Delegates from each party will select their final presidential candidate at their own conventions, either the Democratic National Convention or the Republican National Convention. And at these conventions, each party will discuss their platform or their principles, goals, or ideas. The delegates also vote on their chosen candidate. Notable people from the party will give speeches. The chosen candidate announces their running mate and nominee for vice president. So, this is when someone would say, "Oh, I want Mike Pence as my uh, vice president, and this is when I'm going to announce him that he is going to be my president and he's going to be running with me." And also, the candidates for vice president, or for president and vice president, will kind of give a formal speech accepting their nomination. So this is kind of a look at the inside. This one right here is the inside of a Republican convention, and the one on the right over here is a glimpse at a Democratic convention. And this was during the 2008 elections. So the vice president, they're an important part of the president's candidates campaign. And so remember, we learned that we cannot vote for the vice president separately, but when voting for our president, we are saying, yes, we agree with everything that the vice president has to offer. And they, in order to become vice president, they have to meet all of the same requirements as a presidential candidate. So being 35 years of age, being a natural born citizen, and at least living in the United States for 14 years. They usually have a great deal of political experience. This is not something that's new to them. They have been in the government for quite some time, and they usually have traits and different experiences to balance out any weak spots that the presidential candidate might have. So say maybe they are more organized than the president, or maybe they have different views or different tactics that maybe the president, the candidate, doesn't have. And so they're a good balance to have. And it's always nice to have someone else backing you up, thinking about other things, running through ideas together, getting a different viewpoint on those. And yeah, they also agree to take over the duties of the president if, in case of event, the president passes away or they are removed from office. So our activity, we are going to be looking at this section of our brochure. If you are a hybrid friend, you will be completing this on the actual brochure that you were handed in class. If you are a remote learner, you will be completing this on that Google slide. I hope you guys learned a lot today. I will see you guys tomorrow.